Alright guys, welcome to the next video on the Desmos Scientific Calculator. In this video we're going to continue to focus on topics that are just for Math 102. And what we're going to be focusing on is calculating z-scores, which is something we have to do frequently throughout the entire course. We're going to be calculating z-scores. So these first two questions are more traditional z-score problems, right? And I just have to practice typing it in exactly how it appears on my page. So whenever I have these big fraction expressions like this, I like to just start right here with the fraction line. So I can fill out what I need up top and on bottom, right? This kind of helps me get organized right away at the beginning of the problem. And I'll copy what I have as exactly as I can. So 3.3 minus 3.1 divided by 0.4 is 0.5, right? There's my z-score. I can have a fraction or not, depending on if I want it. Right, this next one is very similar, just with larger numbers. So I'll copy it exactly how it shows up, 211 minus 305 divided by 78.9. And I get my z-score, which can also be a fraction or not, right? And this time it's negative, which happens a lot when this number here is less than the mean, right? And this does look like a small number compared to the mean of 305. So I get a negative z-score. This last problem, right, is something that we might see later in Math 101 when we get to the units on confidence intervals and hypothesis testing. But what's extra funky about this guy is that I have a fraction in a fraction, right? My denominator is another fraction. So I have to be very careful when I type this into Desmos that I'm typing it exactly how it appears. So I'll try to do that now. Up top is easy, it's 14 minus 15, but on bottom I have this whole fraction I have to shove down there. So first I'm going to give myself a pair of parentheses to kind of organize myself and make sure everything happens in the same order that they wanted when they wrote this problem on the page. And now I can put a fraction down here, say 1.4 divided by the square root of 15, right? Square root button lives over here. I can put 15 down there. Finally get my z-score. Right, and I have to be very careful when I type in a problem like this, right? There's a couple of errors I can make. I could say 14 minus 15 divided by 1.4, that whole thing divided by the square root of 15. And I can kind of see now that, right, it might be a little hard to see just by the font sizes, but now this guy is on top because I accidentally typed it wrong. And we can see I get a totally different answer, right? So this is wrong. I don't want to do this. The parentheses end up in the wrong place. I also have to make sure I'm not doing something like 14 minus 15 divided by 1.4 divided by square root of 15, right? This is also incorrect. This is another mistake that I see a lot, right? The 14 and 15 have to both be on top of the fraction. Otherwise, I end up with this mess, which is not what I meant, right? It's not what it says on my page. So this is another common error I see, right? So I really urge you guys to use lots of parentheses. Make sure when you have fractions and fractions, they all end up in the right place, because if you write it a little different, you could get a different number.